All right, we are live. Sunny Days in Detroit show, post-game edition. Lions win in New Orleans, 33-28. Not a pretty game. A little bit to break down here. Ultimately, I think if we could agree on anything, a win is a win. It gets us that much closer to the NFC North, taking the division, so that's good. Packers are playing tonight, so hopefully that's a loss. And fuck the Bears, fuck the Vikings. Yeah, so listen, I'll get it started. Elephant in the room, not a pretty game at all. For you to go up in a game 21-0 and to end the game 33-28, that's not good. Like that's not what good teams do. But on the other hand, what do good teams do? They have adversity, they face it, and they win, right? Lions teams in the past, Jim Caldwell, Jim Schwartz especially, would have lost this lead. They would have lost this game. So if you're upset after this win, like honestly, if you're a Lions fan and you're upset in general, I don't know what to tell you. We've had nothing to root for decades. So not a pretty game, but ultimately they won. They did what they were supposed to do. So Paul, let's start with you.
Oh.
What did you see today? What did you like? What did you not like?
I mean, I was up. Obviously, I was talking with you guys during the game a little bit. So I was at different times. I was kind of mad at certain things and upset. I think I messaged you guys. We don't deserve this win. But when that's when you're in the middle of your emotions are in a game. You're involved. You're invested. When I look back at it, it's a road win against a team that's still fighting. Pretty much, This was kind of their. We need to get a W, or our season's probably over, and it probably is over now with Atlanta winning. As much as it's great to go up 21-0, I feel like every time a team goes up big early, like there's a lot of energy that goes into it. There's a lot of emotion, and the second something goes the other team's way, I feel like it's hard to put a team. It's similar to that Green Bay game that we had. We went up 28-3 or whatever it was. It's hard to keep that intensity keep going. So I wish it would have went a little bit differently, but I think there's some key plays in it that stopped us from making that lead a little bigger, especially settling for a field goal before halftime. But I'm not as disappointed. Listen, tell you the truth, I was hoping we would clean up all our messes the way we looked against the Bears and the Packers. But honestly, in the back of my mind, I kept thinking, this is probably going to take 3-4 weeks to clean up. Like most teams that go in a little bit of a rut, they kind of have a bad 3-4 weeks. And the good part is you won 2 out of the 3 you've played bad in. I don't think the Lions played great today.
No. Well, to kind of piggyback of what you just said, none of this pressure-packed situation, none of this stress happens. And I understand. I mean, I don't even know if it's the NFL today, but like that flag on Bruce Irvin in the fourth quarter, like, dude, he's doing his fucking job. Like, and I know we say that every week, but to throw a flag that late in a game on a sack, like that's essentially what that was. That was a sack fumble. To throw a flag on that it's so deflating because you're looking at, and I know Hutchinson had one today too, where like it was iffy, but like, what are you supposed to tell Bruce Irvin? Like honestly, if you're the official in that situation, what do you go tell 51? Like what?
It's the slam,
you know what?
Though.
Next
he
time,
picked him up his feet, and
but like with the momentum carried them down. Like, what are you supposed to tell? How do you like? We always look at things and say, okay, the rules are fucked up, but how could we prevent this next time? Right? And now you see D linemen. Now you see them coming into quarterbacks kind of like this with their hands up, right? They come up with their hands up to say, hey, I didn't wrap them. I didn't mean to do this, blah, blah, blah. They have to sell it. Like Derek Carr has the ball in his hands. What do you tell Bruce? Like, if you're the official, what do you tell Bruce Irvin? Oh, next time, just don't touch him. Well, that's your job. That's the pass rusher's job on that play. So to me, that was one of the worst penalties I saw all game, and I saw a bunch of bad penalties in the Jet game because I had that on TV too.
You had money on it.
I'm an asshole. I'm so stupid.
He bet it on Tim Boyle.
I'm sorry, Pat.
Did you learn nothing from his time here? I'll tell you this, man. It's so for me. On the penalty, I think the problem with that is if you were to be in a meeting when they were developing that new rule, like this is the exact thing you're not supposed to do. That was it. That's the problem. He did the exact move, picked him up off his feet and dropped all of his body weight on top of him. Not one or the other, not in between. He did like all the things that you're not supposed to do. I think it's stupid. You brush a guy's helmet with your hand, it's a penalty. You don't roll off him enough, it's a penalty. I think it's all dumb. Paul will tell you, I am a huge proprietor of we are being way too soft with QBs, and they just get a lot of. I just hate it altogether. But the game itself, like Paul, I haven't actually had it recorded because it's actually a national game today, so that was awesome. So it always records on my Hulu when I do that. So I kind of skimmed through it again and like didn't feel as bad about it. The second kind of really quick like run through on it. I don't think any like particular person stood out like terribly, but they just weren't playing cohesively. And I think my biggest problem comes to this. We're now 3 games in, and I think I may have seen maybe a quarter of good football in the last 3 games. The last 5 minutes of the Bears game, the first 6 minutes of this game last week wasn't great. So like we're not seeing full games. We are seeing a lot of gaps, a lot of holes. None of this shit will fly against the top teams in the NFC, and the NFC isn't even that stacked. Couldn't see this working right. The way we're playing right now will not work against San Fran, will not work against the Philadelphia, period.
It won't work in the second round of the playoffs. You might be able to get away with a game somewhat. Like, you got to probably play better than this, but playing like this in the first round, if you play a Rams or Seattle or Green Bay, Minnesota, maybe you can hang around and pull one out at the end.
And let's not forget, we were bailed out with a false start on a fumble on the first play.
Oh, well, we recovered it.
I'm just saying it was a false start. Like that's how the game started, and then they got
You
didn't lose it down. Kind of got to reset it. Like okay, never mind. Just shake it off. Let's go.
Yeah.
They just seem to be like they say like cleaning up, doing things right, doing this, and it just seems like they're losing their identity in that way, where they are not doing the things that are smooth, that are like it seemed like everything was like even with like golf and some of his like throws, he had like one little high on like Amon St. Brown. It seems like all those things that were like. Take it to the bank. I can count on that throw every time. Like that's what makes golf a good player. And like, that's what makes him like possible to like be a long-term solution. He's starting to get away from that. He's starting to get balls get a little errant. Guys are jumping his routes. They're coming in a little inside, a little short. And like, and it seems like all this, and it's not a golf thing. It's like all across the board. I'm just seeing that lack of consistency. It seems like that efficiency that they really built upon is going away.
I would agree with you. Goff wasn't his best today, but significantly better than where we've seen him the last 2 weeks.
It wasn't a bad game.
Didn't have a bad game. Didn't have a great game. Didn't have a bad game. What worries me is this defense, because as much as we could bitch about the offense being inconsistent, they still put up 33 points today. Like they walked into New Orleans, they put up 33 points. Yes, they put up 21 in like 9 or 10 minutes in the first quarter, but like still, that's doing a really good job. Like 33 points is really good. Now I understand that they probably had the opportunity to throw up 45, 50 points today. I agree with that. But like at some point, I'm kind of looking at Dan Campbell to like hold Aaron Glenn accountable. Like at some point, I don't know. Like Paul, like great coordinators figure it out. Like I know,
but I do feel Aaron Glenn called a little bit of a different game today. He sent more guys blitzing, even at the end of the game. That last
end of the game, yeah. Oh my God, in the end of the game. But like, where was that? Where was that for 2 quarters? Where was that? He does it in the first quarter, and then just totally takes his foot off the gas and plays prevent. When you play prevent defense, what are you doing? You're preventing yourself from winning the game. That's what prevent defense is.
But, I think Dan Campbell wants to rush with 4 guys. It's not just Aaron Glenn. He wants to get pressure with 4, just like every coach wants to get pressure with 4.
I want to be a millionaire. I want to wake up with $1 million.
If you wanted to do that, you needed to go throw a 3rd round at Chase Young, and then
But you know what? I watched Chase Young today in the Eagles game be unnoticeable. He was unnoticeable in the game.
I could tell you he's a little more noticeable than Charles Harris and Bruce Irvin, but it doesn't matter. It wasn't done.
But listen,
The same is often said about Aiden though, because they are able to double and stuff. So I didn't watch the game that closely of him, so I don't know how often he was doubled, how much he was chipped. So like I can't speak.
I'm starting to lose my patience with Aiden a little bit. He's unnoticeable for two.
I completely disagree. He had a fantastic game. He was in the quarterback's face all day. He lived in the court. He literally got a penalty. He got a penalty for sacking Derek Carr today. Like he's doing his job. He's doing his. That's like complaining about a home run hitter that keeps hitting doubles. Like
I don't do the box score stuff. He's been having a good season.
He's doing his job.
He's not getting home because
There's a reason PFF keeps giving him a 90 grade. Like he's doing his job week after week. He's doing his job. It's time for the other 3 guys on this line to do something. And you know who I'm really looking at right now? And it's not. I hate to harp on the kid because he is a kid. But Jack Campbell, you were a first round draft pick.
I thought Jack Campbell played well today.
He got tossed around like a rag doll at times.
Well,
he got tossed. Oh, watch the tape. Watch the tape. He got blocked.
He made a couple of nice plays.
He got blocked into next week on some run plays, and that is not good. That is not where you want to see a first round middle linebacker.
So there is something else about this game. I think the defense is the easy target, and like pretty much as of late, they've just been the easy target altogether. I mean, they let up 7 points in the first half. Not terrible. They kind of fell apart in the second half. But on the other side of this, let's look at like the actual offensive side of the ball. 2 of them came from turnovers in their red zone. 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, they had a 17-yard drive.
14 points came off 30 total yards of offensive play. So like they got put in a great position because of the defense, but then the defense just fell apart in the long run. But
they also got tremendous luck with that tipped pass. Like Brian Branch did his fucking job. It's
the exact same play as the Kansas City. It was crazy.
Same as that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fucking nuts. Oh man. But again, it's just like, it's so hard to pay. And that's why I say like, it just doesn't even seem like I can, as bad and easy as it is to pile on AG and defense. And I do think something's just not right there. I don't know if it's schematic, whatever he's doing, it's just not working. I don't care. Like at the end of the day, if it's your personnel, stop playing fucking man.
I thought it was a lot of zone.
There was a lot more zone.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I thought there was a lot of zone.
There was, but anytime they're in man, a guy gets beat. It's without a doubt. Like they don't have the personnel to be able to run it more than maybe a handful of times. Like I just don't get it. It's just like you watch this game, it's like the whole like insanity thing. They always talk about, always talk about in that coaching. And he continues that. These
were some of my notes I had from really most of the first half. Brian Branch pick was phenomenal. But similar to week 1, right place, right time. But like at the end of the day, you that's what you're supposed to do. Balls in the air, snatch it. Yeah. Right? So like we're seeing more promise from a guy like Brian Branch. That was great. The pass blocking it's a problem. Call it what it is. It's a problem. With or without Ragnow, it's not where it should be. They're running the ball relatively well. I mean, it's a pretty overall like
run game is great.
I know we hit a lull, but like overall, they're running the ball well. They are running the ball well.
Once Ragnow went down, they didn't have too much luck. I don't know what are the stats when Ragnow. I mean, it kind of disappeared the run game. Montgomery couldn't get anything.
The defense. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it just seems again like this always happens in time. It seems like things are starting to kind of catch up to Ben Johnson's schemes because it seems like people are getting a lot better, having a lot better luck on their pass rushes, getting actual home. Goff is starting to feel the pressure a little bit, and that's why I think you're starting to see him get a little off on some of his throws because he's like off mark. He's not sitting in the pocket comfortably like we want him to be. And that's going to create more issues. But like with Ragnow going down, Sorsdale, absolute liability. I don't know what to do because that guy is not a starter in the NFL.
He's a young kid. I mean,
I know.
First round pick at William and Mary.
Oh, I know.
Like, I think the depth really isn't there along the line.
I mean, he's the third guy up too. Like this should be Big V, right? So
he's better than Skipper.
And then we're down to Glasgow, and now he's over to center. So it's like we are down to our bottom barrel of the reserves. We were expecting this guy to develop this year, maybe start playing next year to replace Big V. Big V's probably done for his career, but let's see what happens.
Good news is that it doesn't look like Ragnow's injury is serious.
Did you hear anything on Ragnow?
Yeah, they said it doesn't seem to be serious. They're going to get a full evaluation tomorrow. But they said better news. I guess they thought it was a serious injury on the field, and when they went back to the locker room and kind of did a more of a evaluation on him, Dan said after the game that it doesn't seem to be serious, but they'll confirm that tomorrow. Yeah. So which is huge. But listen, I would still say, he's a big boy. He might miss a couple weeks.
For a guy who's been battling that nagging that he can't even get healed. It's just an injury that can't be fixed. So someone like a guy that's getting constant rest for that just to manage that, anything on top of that is not good.
No.
And I don't know what it's going to look like. Is it a week? Because sometimes Campbell, he plays a little close to the chest, like, it wasn't as bad as we thought. In his mind, as bad as he thought might have been out for the season. This might still mean 4 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, he's very mum when it comes to injuries until it actually comes to fruition.
You know, a guy like Ragnow, who I love him. He's my favorite player on the Lions. I love his story. I love who he is.
Number one, want to have a beer with guy.
1,000
times.
I don't know.
Go fishing
right
out.
now.
Ragnow, go fishing out on that dude. He takes all the guys fishing.
Taylor Decker's got some interesting shit to say.
I mean, listen, everyone says Glasgow's the man.
I believe it.
So,
going back to Ragnow, I love Ragnow. I love him. All that being said, at this point in his career, he's a little injury prone. That's kind of just what he is, right? He missed all of 2021 with an injury. He was banged up a little last year. We missed him for a few games. Like, this is what Ragnow is. He's a guy that gets hurt, and that's kind of the nature of the center position. You're in the middle of the pile every week, every play. You're in the middle of it, so you're gonna get banged up. We need and for the Lions, to the Lions' credit, they have a fantastic backup plan for him and Graham Glasgow. And Glasgow has surpassed.
The only problem with Glasgow being a backup that he's a starting guard, which is not great to have your starting, your backup center to be your starting guard, and that's what's hurting us right now because Vita's not giving us,
But at least you know that the guy that you're putting in, like, there's no snapping issues. He's got the rapport with Goff. There's already an established relationship there. Like, I get what you're saying 100%. That's not ideal, but, like, things could be worse. Things could be much worse.
I think the biggest thing to me is with having Sorsdale there, I think it throws Sewell off his game because he's kind of like paying a little more attention to the guard spot than he normally would. And I think that's why you're seeing him have a little trouble whenever Sorsdale's in that game.
I mean, listen, losing Ragnow was probably the worst position you could lose because you got worse. You got worse at center and you got significantly worse at guard by losing, Ragnow.
Shout out to one of my co-hosts, Chris. He's on the football show with us. Montgomery, automatic TD. Absolutely. The guy's a machine. And you know what? If we saw anything today, we saw that Montgomery is the better back, right? Which was great. That was great.
Jamal didn't look that happy when he shook hands with Golf after the game.
I don't think so either. I don't think he's happy there.
There was I don't know if you guys heard it. There's one spot where he ran the ball and he was chirping. He was like losing his cool to one of the Lions players after the play. I can't remember which one it was, but Jamal Williams just chirping at them and like he was not happy.
Listen, I know he's hurt, but you know what? Lions made him an offer. They made him an offer of 4.5, which is more than fair. And they had a money designated to him. He said he could do better.
Life goes on. Goes on. All right, we brought in David Montgomery, who nobody else wanted. We brought him in, and we've made him a household name in the NFL. Whoever plays behind the Lions' offensive line is going to score touchdowns. That's the way it goes. When you're a top 3 O-line, you could push people around, and you could score in the red zone, and you could score running the ball. And that's what the Lions do. That's what they do. They do that best. When they're in the red zone, that's their bread and butter. Hand it off to Gibbs or Montgomery. And let me tell you something. In 2 years or 3 years, when Montgomery leaves, as long as this line sticks together, and Sewell's still here, and Ragnow, and Jackson, and whoever else, you know what, man? There's going to be another guy back there next to Gibbs. And if it ain't Gibbs, it'll be someone else. Okay? Jamal Williams scored 17 touchdowns last year. 10 of them were 0-yard touchdowns or 1-yard touchdowns. Like, I'm not taking anything away from the running back, but when you're playing behind the Great Wall of China, it's a little easier to score. So, do we have anything else from today?
Yeah. Well, let's. What was so when we talked about last week, we talked about the 3 things that we need to do to win. Let's go over those really quick. Mine was we got to win the run game, and we did win the run game. I think we outrushed them, and we at least made that presence early, which I think was really important.
That was important. First drive.
Yeah. Yes, and I think we outrushed them. Let's see, let me pull it up right here. We had We outrushed them 142 yards, averaged 4.7 yards a carry. Saints had 113 yards on 3 yards a carry. You know, I mean, listen, they had most of their success on Tyson Hill. He had 60 yards of that.
We had no answer for him.
Yeah, our boy Jamal, 5 carries, 10 yards, every 2 yards a carry. So I mean that was important. I know you talked about Pat. What was your
I can't remember. I would say maybe
turnovers. You said turnovers.
Yeah.
And they won the ball. I mean, listen, you were right. They got it. They almost had a sloppy turnover to start the game, even though they're bailed by a false start. And I know they recovered it, but like that was just that penalty was golf getting lazy and leaning back out of the pocket before the ball was even snapped. You know, he was kind of leaning because the false start was called on Jared Goff. So I think it was Goff. He kind of went back, then the ball was going to get snapped and started leaning back, and and the snap was ever made. So listen, but they protected the football overall. And I mean, I think there's one throw that I saw that kind of could have get picked, but overall, I think Jared had a pretty good game. But listen, they're still off on throwing the ball around. Like a lot of throws that Jared made are slightly behind. Even Laporta made a good catch to end the game, but that ball was a little bit behind him. What was yours, Matt?
I want to say it was something defensive related, but in my notes I had turnovers. We did turn the ball over today.
We didn't turn over.
We didn't. Oh no, Khalif Raymond fumbled, picked it back up.
Yeah.
What I really liked seeing today, because I said this last week, what I wanted to see out of the opening drive and most of the first quarter was, and I said it to both of you, I want to see them run the ball. Like, your bread and butter is running the ball. That's what you do best. Goff is a fine quarterback, but you run the ball better. Like, you run the ball really well. Lean on that, okay? When times are bad, lean on that. Past 2 weeks, times have been bad. We have not been our normal offense. We've turned the ball over. It's a fact, right? If we've turned it over, the past 2 weeks, they turned it over 10 times. Or I believe maybe leading back to the Chargers game. Might have been in the past 3 weeks. There was 10 turnovers. That's a problem. Okay? Yeah. That's a problem. And you know what? Credit to Goff. He wasn't his best today, but he took care of the football. Dumb decisions were not made. Okay? And Brad went for it. Brad. Campbell went for it when he needed to go for it. There was a point, end of the game, where we could have punted. 4th and 7. Was it a 4th and 7 or
4th and 7?
3rd and 7. 3rd and 7.
Oh, 3rd and 7. Yes, he went for one through
where
it,
we went for
twice.
It. And everybody was like, "You got to run it." I was with my father-in-law, and I said, "Don't be surprised if we throw." And he's like, "Why would you throw? That's stupid."
Yeah,
I said,
one time
"You're going to throw because if you get sacked, it's the same. Like where they were on the field, you had to punt anyway. We were not in field goal range. So if you got sacked, it would be the same thing as running the ball in terms of the clock. So." Yeah, at least you try to pass, and that's what they did. They hit Khalif Raymond, and that was the end of the game. They came out after that in victory formation because the Saints were out of timeouts. Like, Dan went for it today when he really needed to go for it. You saw him kick those field goals. 4th and whatever, on the right on the fucking goal line, he kicked because he knew we have the game in hand. We have the game in hand. I think in the end of the game, he went for it, not because he had balls, because I genuinely believe he no longer trusted his defense. And he said, if I punt the ball and give it back to the Saints, I'm going to give it to them with 1:10 or a minute, no timeouts. We're a penalty away from losing this game.
Or does he trust his defense, knowing that if you don't get it, they're going to protect the short field?
Another way of looking at it. That's a fair point.
Listen, I think he said it, and I think he really believes ever since that Minnesota game, he will go to it because he wants to end the game with the ball in his hand. And that was his chance. He doesn't care about the 40 seconds because what he could have done was ran 40 more seconds off the clock and given the ball with a minute 03 if they stopped us. We punted the ball, and that's what they would have gotten.
Pat, you look like you're deep in thought.
Well, it's interesting because Goff is just such an enigma. Like I think he warrants his own thing, just called the curious case of Jared Goff after the season, just to dissect this man, because there's one play in particular that I hated, and it wasn't even like a interception. Is when he threw that screen, bootleg, turned around screen, 5-yard loss, something like that. Right after they went
6
up
yards of Gibbs,
33-28. Right after that kickoff first play. This is my problem with like Goff's ability. he had a wide open side of the field to probably run, kill the clock, gain 5, 6, 7 yards.
On what play?
That same play when he went turn around the third.
I don't even think you have an option on that play. The ball needs to go to the line because O-linemen are already going to be going downfield. You're going to get a legal man downfield if you don't throw that ball. Like the path that looks. He saw him. They kind of set up a screen out wide to Gibbs.
But the other stuff is anyone with some athletic ability gets 5 yards to a first down on that. Keeps the play running.
I'd have to go back and look at it. I mean, listen,
Jared Goff. This is nitpicking. This is just small things. Like I look at the first 3 touchdowns of the game. He had 47 yards passing. They leaned on the run game. They didn't throw it on his back.
But Pat, when they threw the ball, he threaded the needle in that on those first 3 drives. That pass to Laporta was unbelievable.
That sealed the game. Was a great throw. Threw it right into its tight window, right in the gut.
No, I'm saying that second touchdown to Laporta was literally between 2 defenders. I mean, he threaded the needle right there.
So, but going here, when Goff looked at that field, it was I believe the safety made the tackle on Gibbs. That safety read that play and he flew between 3 Lions players to make that tackle. Like someone just didn't do their job either, and he just blew Gibbs up.
It's what I'm saying is like it's the complete disrespect from the other team. Like we don't have to worry about him running.
And that's what it's going to be like.
Look at where the league's going. Look at where the league's going. How many people are still like that?
Oh, absolutely. But listen, that's not Goff's game. Goff is a pocket passer. He doesn't run.
Let's talk Super Bowls. Like Stafford's not running quarterback. Burrows wasn't a running quarterback. Tom Brady wasn't a running quarterback.
Stafford is famously more athletic than he gets credit for, and he's always.
But he's not a running quarterback, and he wouldn't run on a play like that. He wouldn't turn around and run.
Stafford always wants to get the job done with his arm, no doubt. Yeah, but he could run.
He would take off here, but
run.
I think Pat's a big on it. I know Pat loved. I mean, Pat would like a 4-3. We all would, but like at the end of the day, these quarterbacks are immobile. Like, yeah, they're up there at the end of the year, but like they're not going and winning Super Bowls yet. They're not taking off, and we're like,
okay, but
we're not sitting here talking the Lamar Jacksons of the league.
But in the last 10, 15 years,
and they haven't won in the last 10, 15 years.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Wait. No.
What is Patrick Mahomes? How many Super Bowls does he have? Like,
he's not a mobile quarterback.
He is mobile though. Like
he can move. He's elusive, but like, okay, he has 2.
This is the wrong argument everyone makes that you offers coming from your end. You say mobile. I was like, oh, Lamar Jackson. That's not a mobile quarterback. A mobile quarterback is someone that can get out there and get a first down when it's given to him.
So if you go back in NFL history, okay, I had heard this. I think I told you this, Paul, at one point. So like I understand where Pat's coming from. When I think mobile, I don't think a guy that has to rush for 100 yards. No, okay,
I don't either.
If you go back in NFL history, okay, every single game that's been played, I think from now or from whatever it was 1980 to today. If a quarterback rushed for 3 first downs, we're not talking yards, we're not talking touchdowns, we're not an amount of yards. If a quarterback ran himself for 3 first downs that game, 75% of the time, that team wins that game.
What are you talking about? When?
He's saying historically.
Historically, in football, if you have a quarterback that rushes for 3 first downs a game,
this is okay.
No, like that's a fact. That's okay. The fact is that you're not acconing for that guy.
What's the percentage of a quarterback throws for 3 touchdowns?
I don't know, but probably not 75. We watched 12 years of Stafford lose games.
Listen, I would love to have a mobile quarterback,
but you saying that it's not important or that those guys don't win. Joe Burrow's a mobile quarterback. That guy wins. Pat Mahomes is a mobile quarterback. That guy wins. Aaron Rodgers is a mobile quarterback. That guy wins. Now those guys, the mobility is not the best part of their game. No. The best part of their game is their arm. And Jared Goff can win games despite not being mobile. Like that's fine.
So who's not a mobile quarterback?
Jared Goff.
Okay, name me another. Who's that?
One of the few.
Mac Jones, but he's bad. Flacco in his prime was not mobile, but he won a Super Bowl. Yeah. Okay. So, yes.
Drew Brees mobile?
And then they paid him, and then what happened?
Okay, Tom Brady mobile?
No. But Tom Brady's also the greatest ever played.
The greatest quarterback ever played is not mobile. Drew Brees?
Yes.
Peyton Manning mobile?
Drew Brees was mobile.
Okay,
No.
greatest quarterback to play.
Eli
not
Manning.
mobile.
Eli Manning
All
was
the
mobile when he
quarterbacks
had.
all the quarterbacks I'm naming were not mobile.
When did all
and
those
they're
guys
and they're
start
they're
playing?
called they're considered the greatest quarterbacks. But your
Right,
stat from
right.
1920 is if
It's
you
not
run for 3
1920.
first
It's about
round.
like
I'd rather have
1980.
my quarterback staying in the pocket and picking up first down with his arms.
What you're not understanding is you aren't taking in factor that the game's progressing.
Progressing where they're still not winning.
Statues with how athletic edge rushers are, statues aren't going to work going forward. It's just
Well,
not.
wait a minute.
But you know what works? Protecting the quarterback.
Wait a minute.
That's what works.
Why don't we look at right now in the NFL? Who are the top teams in the NFL from both conferences? The Lions from the NFC. We would say Lions, Dallas, and Philly from the NFC, right? San Fran, Dallas, Philly, and Detroit.
They're the four. Those four, and then there's a huge gap in everyone else.
Okay. From the AFC, it's the Chiefs. Maybe at this point, the Broncos. Ooh,
Ravens.
The Texans, the Ravens. What do every one of those teams, except for us, have in common? Their quarterback can run. You know,
again, this isn't.
That's the nature.
We really don't have to have this conversation. I understand what you guys are talking about, but it's not. You don't need to have.
My point was
a mobile quarterback to win in the NFL. You need to have a smart quarterback that knows how to get rid of the ball. I bet you, if you look, every quarterback gets rid of the ball under 2.3 seconds, has success and is accurate.
Yeah, absolutely.
And knows how to read it out. That's more important than moving in the pocket. You got to know how to move in the pocket. Step into the pocket's more important.
But here's the problem. You kind of.
What's the problem? It's my opinion. There ain't no problem.
But the problem with your opinion. Can you let me finish?
Okay, go ahead.
You're saying you say it's like either or is the way your mind works. Why can't they do all the things you're saying and have that mobility factor?
They can. We don't.
You're acting like it has to be one or the other. Like,
listen, you're ready to hand the ball over to Hooker. You earlier in the year, you're like, Hooker's the guy. He's better than golf. Why wouldn't he be better than golf? I
said he could be.
Anyone could be.
Exactly.
Couldn't you live in?
Could be.
When you're on the cusp of paying a guy.
Couldn't we live in a world? Wait, time out. Because we're getting heated, right?
That's good.
We're talking about our favorite team. Couldn't you live in a world where you could be happy with what you're getting, but also see deficiencies and say it would be a little better if this guy could do this? Are we happy with Jared Goff? Absolutely. If you're not happy with Jared Goff, man, I don't know what to tell you, because this guy's great. Right now, this guy's great. Okay? Are you happy with Jared? Absolutely. Can you look down the road at Hendon Hooker and say, man, I wonder what that guy could be. I wonder what he'll be. Right? Like, he brings the mobility. He's got a nice arm. He's very accurate. Yeah, that's what he did in college. Hopefully, in an ideal world, he's like that in the NFL. And we don't have to pay Jared. And we could ride out Hendon, and then we could make that contract decision in 4 years, right? But like right now, where we are, it's okay to look at the Lions quarterback situation as two things. Are we really happy with Jared? Yes. Is he playing excellent football for the most part since midway through last year? Yes, he is. Taking care of the ball, throwing the ball well. Does he have deficiencies? Yes. Does he have weaknesses? Absolutely. And that's okay. Everyone's got weaknesses, right? Yep. He doesn't have to be the number one quarterback in the NFL for us to win. Ultimately, at the end of the day, like, if you keep scoring 33 points every week, you should be winning. The concern still falls back to that defense. Yeah. The defense should have never made that game close. Jared did everything he needed to do to win this game. Didn't play his best football. He missed a couple of throws. But the defense should not have let New Orleans back into this game. Right or wrong? Can we agree on that?
No, absolutely. And I've even said weeks ago, I was like, I'm fine. I said I am good with extending this guy. Having a Jared Goff is better than not knowing anything. I just look at it from a cap situation, all these other intangibles that are coming into it. Like, I just look at it as everyone's like, throw the bag at him. Like, what negotiating power does he have? All right, Jared, we'll let you play out this contract, and where are you going to go? Where are you going to go to restart your career again at 31 years old and have the same success and same team around you?
He'll get paid.
He would, but do you want to win the rest of your career, or do you just want to go somewhere to help them right the ship?
You don't know who's going to be offering him a contract. There's a lot of good teams out there that need a quarterback.
I think you let this season play out. You don't offer anyone a contract right now. Exactly. Let's see. Because if Jared comes out and wins us a Super Bowl, like, yeah, no shit, we're giving him a contract. And if Jared comes out and shits the bed in the wild card round, we're probably not doing that, right? So let the season play out. Right now, Jared dug himself a hole, and today, credit to him, credit to Ben Johnson, dug himself out. And the Lions did the right thing by leaning on their run game. I wish they would have stayed with that, but I'm sure losing Ragnow had an effect on that
And
too.
at the end of the day, Hooker is insurance policy. When these guys inevitably pay Goff, if it blows up in their face, that's the guy they have in the wings waiting that can hopefully get them back into good graces of everybody if it doesn't work out. That's the plan right there. If you ask me what this team,
We're not gonna have that much time.
That's it. What do you mean that much time?
I mean, let's say golf. Hooker. Hey, it's a 4-year contract.
Yeah.
So
if
golf stays next year, I'm just saying there's not gonna be that much time to figure out what Hooker has.
Similar to Jordan Love. If you're in a position where it's like, okay, it's like shit or get off the pot time. Like we're now say it's 2-3 years from now. We're in the final year of Hooker's contract. Golf ain't getting it done. Fucking play Hooker.
The glory of this situation is that Goff still has 1 more year left on this deal. And I know that in the ideal world, you want to re-sign him, but you don't have to. You don't have to. And once again, that's a bridge we should cross when we get there. Like right now, we haven't won the division and we haven't won a playoff game. We're not there yet, right? So let's get to that point to where we can, because that's a conversation I'd love to have. But to have it prematurely, well, we haven't done anything yet, right? Like we've done some nice things in the regular season, but we're not there yet. We're at 9 wins. Like I have my eyes set on like 13 wins at this point. That's my expectation. That's where we are, right? Are we all in that boat?
Yeah, I mean
we're not going to settle on 10, 11 wins.
No, anything less than 12 would be disappointing the way they started 8-2. I mean, if they only win 11 games, that means you finished a year 3-4.
Right, and that's
you out of your last 7.
So
winning 12 means you still go 4-3 in your last 7.
Paul,
so
let's go back to the idea that you had said before on a positive note here. MVPs of today. Who was your MVP? And then we'll go to Pat. Who was the MVP today?
For me?
For you.
I mean, I think we all know the obvious one. I'm trying to think if I go
not name Laporta. We'll do that. And the MVP.
Yeah, you can't name Laporta. Laporta had 9 catches on 9 targets, broke tackles, made tough catches. So hands on. If it's not Laporta, I would. I'll go Jonah Jackson. Just see what he brings to the running game.
Yeah, there was a difference with him there.
There is.
Where are you, Pat?
Actually, JMO. I thought he had a great game. He wasn't something super explosive. Didn't break like a 40-yard or anything like that. Loved the reverse they ran, and like you think you texted right after that pile. He's like that speed is ridiculous. And
the guy on the TV said perfect. He was like shot at. When they run it slow speed, you can't see it. When it runs like regular speed and he turns a corner and took off, I was like, holy shit.
That isn't even what I loved about it. What I loved about his play today, he made a couple of tough catches that he was dropping.
He made one catch.
And did the one get knocked away?
Well, he was only targeted.
A penalty. I think one of them.
What was a penalty?
Oh, yeah.
But either way, that's what I'm saying.
But he came down with the ball. He did his job.
Seeing it, it almost felt like the way he got up and was so you can kind of almost feel he's just starting to feel himself a little bit. And I think that is something super important.
And I still don't understand how they don't get him involved more. He caught the first pass of the game. They target him one more time in the game, and they don't take a shot downfield the whole entire game.
Going back to what you both just said though, with Jameson. Okay, how we were like, oh, he had a couple of good catches, and I was like, oh no, if you actually look at the stat sheet, he had 1 catch. But you know what? You know what's special about that 1 catch? It was on a 3rd down. Jared Goff went to him on 3rd down and said, "I'm putting my eggs in your basket to extend this drive," and that's what I like to see.
I don't think JMO's had a drop since it hit him in the face in Baltimore.
And dude, speaking of drops, David Montgomery on 3rd down, bro.
Listen, that could have been that.
I know he's a running back,
but still. That could have chalked. That could have been the out because
that could have been the game.
That could have been the game.
They had a couple of shots before. Like obviously, they got the ball back from after we punted. We got the ball back, but there was a few plays I think throughout those last couple of drives where they could have extended it, really just put the game away, and like they just dropped the ball. Like they were execution, as Dan Campbell would say, they weren't executing.
There was some. They had some bad luck in the game too. Like you can't get mad for Branch. He made a beautiful play and deflecting the ball. But he misses that. Jacobs is picking it off, maybe even taking it the other way. And we're talking up. And we're instead of going because he scored a touchdown on it. Instead of them being up 5, they're up 19.
But you know what though, Paul? Just like that, that's just like the Bruce Irvin play. Like,
yeah,
okay,
I agree.
Like you threw a flag on him, but like he did his fucking job, I'm going to take those flags. I'm going to take those flags.
You know what I used to love about Ndamukong Suh? He would make. I want to see Bruce Irvin make that play on a quarterback in the first quarter, slam his ass down. I'll take that penalty all day.
Let him know.
What were you going to say, Pat?
Let him up.
I was just going to say, I fucking 1000% agree with Pyle just said. Like, if you're gonna take a shot at a QB, do it in the first quarter. Let them know that could happen at any time.
Yeah.
Hey,
2, both sides of the ball MVPs, JMO, but Bruce Irvin, what the fuck, man? Like that guy came out like a bat out of hell in his first game, and like that gives me a little bit of excitement about what
he kind of looks like James Houston there. He had that like jump burst and took around the corner.
Dude, you keep him around. Houston comes back, and you just kind of have a rotation between those two, keep him fresh. Again, he's older; he's not going to be able to play all the snaps. So it's like that ended up like I thought it was just kind of like a bullshit, like kind of like make the fans happy pickup, but worked out.
I agree with you. I thought it was too. I thought he wasn't going to get a sack all year. Or eventually, he gets like this clean up bad sack. But that was a nice sack.
Yeah, dude,
that
was getting real pressure.
That was my MVP of the game, Bruce Irvin.
There you go.
Like,
and he stole it.
Credit.
Sorry.
I honestly like if that means getting penalties, then like fine, dude. Because I'll do anything. I'll do anything to get pressure at this point. He brought pressure. I still saw fucking Charles Harris's fucking bum ass on the field today. That was nuts. And hey, we had a Romeo Okwara sighting today. Came through for a fucking sack. So
and I almost forgot who I didn't recognize the number. I was like, who is that?
Maven?
They're like Romeo Okwara, and
I was like, is that fucking Romeo?
All right, go ahead.
Let me ask you, who's your guys' dud for the day? I'm gonna do MVP. I want to know who you guys.
I'll go on. My dud is every week. I might as well just be my dud. Will be Jerry Jacobs.
Yep, same.
He gives up a big play. He made a nice tackle, like on
he's a good tackler. Play. He's always been.
But then again, it's like I don't think the coaches give him an opportunity to be that successful. Like, let the guy watching him follow the replay where he gave up the play to Chris Olave. You just see him like following Chris Olave. Olave turns this way, and he's just like 5 yards behind, running like he's following a snake. He's like the tail. He's the tail of the snake. And he's just like following his route behind him 5 yards.
It's like he almost doesn't understand like route concepts and route trees because like it seems like he never knows what the other guy's gonna do. Like has like great cornerbacks like Slay kind of has an idea of what these guys like to do, but depending on how their hips are shifting, he knows where they're going and he can really like kind of shadow them. Jerry Jacobs does not have that at all. Like I just don't understand. Like it might happen soon. Maybe you kick him inside somewhere a little more comfortable, and then like maybe put Branch on the outside because they got to do something because Jacobs is an absolute liability and it's going to continue to happen. Like. I just don't know what to do about it.
Dud of the day. I said it before. I expect more out of you, man. I was a big fan of you in college. I watch a lot of Iowa games. I'm always watching Big Ten. Jack Campbell, figure it out, dude. Like I just do.
He had 2 tackles for a loss today.
Yes,
he had 9 tackles.
But what I need you to do. What I need you to do is not get blown off the ball. Where did
he get blown off the ball?
There was multiple Alvin Kamara runs where he got blown down the field. Watch the replay. That's the shit that's not playbook. That's not playbook. That's being a middle linebacker. There's a lot of pride in hitting the hole, and you don't have to make like Paul. See, that's the difference. I don't give a shit. As a middle linebacker, you don't have to have any tackles. I don't care about how many tackles you have. What I care about is did you clog the hole and move the runner to the other side? Because that's your job as a middle linebacker. It's the same thing as D tackle, is clog the hole, and if you get a tackle, you get a stop, great. And ultimately, you are supposed to clog the hole and make everybody else around you eat. That's the job of the middle linebacker, and that's what I keep seeing out of Jack. He's getting blown off the ball. He's had some good – he does some nice things, and maybe it's my own fault that I hold him to this like status because of how high he was drafted. And maybe that's my fault. And Paul, to your defense, I need to do a deeper dive on the film, but this was just what I saw today. Every time I looked up, he was getting pushed back. That's a bad sign for a linebacker. And you should not be getting pushed back.
Similarly, like with like camp and like approaching it, like I always just try to remind myself, like you can't really control where these guys are drafted. Like if you want to blame anyone, blame Brad Holmes from where he took the guy, not so much where they got drafted.
It's not his fault. I know.
No one told him to trade up for JMO, and then he, didn't play the whole year. suspension was his own problem. Blah blah blah.
I think JK. I'm not worried about
I'm
JK
not-
at all.
it's a tough position to
I'm not
play
even.
in general, and like Anzalone's
He hasn't been playing it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's not getting the reps because Anzalone's
Yeah,
been playing so well that
Right,
he doesn't need to put him there. So it's like
They put him as an edge rusher earlier in the year. They played him on the outside. He's played weak side. And
Yeah.
I mean, he was playing all over the field today. Barnes was lining up in the middle. One where it was Barnes and Rodrigo and him on the outside on the line. They still weren't using him as
Barnes was playing edge too today, which was odd.
So
well, he played that in college, so I think like he has a little bit of
yeah,
experience.
he only played 1 year at linebacker in Purdue. I think he got moved from the edge. But you know, can I talk about something really quickly that's not Lions related?
Oh boy.
I mean, this is Eagles related.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't
thought
understand.
you were going to ask me who I was voting for in the next election.
I don't understand how Greenlaw got thrown out of that game. He
punched him. He punched the security
He
guard.
didn't punch him. First of all, that's a security guard that nothing happened. Greenwald came to pull his player away, and he put his hands on his chest to push him away. You're just, you know what that guy is? I know that guy, Dom. Everyone talks about him. You know what his job is? When Nick Sirianni goes to shake the other coach's job to keep the cameras away, he has no reason to be on a sideline touching a player.
Yeah.
At all.
I thought that was
at all.
Yeah.
It was, and he got to the sideline between players. Like, dude, like, what are you even doing on the sideline? You should be behind the benches. Like,
yeah,
he should be in trouble for doing that. If I'm Greenlaw, I'd be like,
probably gonna get fined.
Like,
he should be.
Imagine if like your ball boy came up and like just started like just poking at players. Like it's pretty much the same thing. Like from like it's like
someone told me he's there to protect Nick Sirianni during the game. Who are you protecting Nick Sirianni from the game during the game? He's on the field with police everywhere. Like, who's he protecting him, Nick Sirianni, from?
Yeah, sounds like you're taking a shot at my fellow Italians down in Philly.
I hate Nick Sirianni. And
I may have to make a phone call. I don't know.
I hate that immature. He's a great coach. Immature yelling at Chiefs fans. See ya. Telling the ref in the NFC Championship game last year and drawing on the sideline. I know the fuck I'm doing, like yelling at him. Like, he needs some growing up to do.
He reminds me of Jim Schwartz when Jim Schwartz was coaching.
You know what it is? It's fun when you're winning. If they ever stop winning,
it's not fun.
It's not going to do well.
There's one huge difference there, and we both know this, pal. Living in the Philly area, like it's a direct. Like if you could embody the fan base as a coach,
scumbag.
That's it.
Scumbag Philly.
Yeah,
that's the embodiment of Philly Eagle fans.
Pavo,
as a coach.
Could you imagine if that guy did that right there to Aiden Hutchinson? Because listen, I know it was a close fist that he went like this. He didn't punch him. He was literally, this is my mic. Like, he was literally just taking, like, kind of like moving his face away. Greenwald, that was not a punch. And if a security guard did that to a Lions player who came in the side, who was literally there to take his player off the other guy, and I'd be like, what the fuck are you touching me for?
I think the issue is that the refs don't want to set a precedent of because I understand what we're saying. Looking at it,
I understand what the refs. I would
have kicked Greenlaw. I would have kicked Green. Like, absolutely, you don't touch anybody on the sideline.
Dude, that guy needs to have a bit. Listen, it's not even fining that guy, because you fine that guy, he's not paying to fine.
No, the teams
are paying to pay fine. Yeah. Like, he needs to be kicked off the sideline for a few games.
Yeah, maybe.
But you made contact with, and you don't have any. I don't know. Maybe there's a law saying security. Maybe there. I don't know the NFL laws. Maybe there's a law that says every coach gets a security guard. Maybe I don't know who the Lions security guard is. Maybe they have one. But
maybe on paper they have him as a quality control coach, and he's. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know how he's able to be on the sideline, but I do know that we're coming up at 48 minutes. I know that I don't know.
I gotta eat some. I'm going to eat some Polish gołąbki downstairs. So
got one last question for you guys, and this is going to be a quick one. I don't have to dissect it too much. So we're pretty much like the three top teams are pretty much established at this point.
Not really.
Or are you saying Dallas?
Dallas
maybe,
wins.
Paul?
Dallas has a chance.
Dallas wins
if they win next week. Yeah.
If Dallas wins next week, they are the first place team next year in the NFC.
But just in general, I'm saying there's for the Lions' sake, there's nothing outside seed 3 really for us. So like, do you guys? Do you see us moving up from that? Because I look at their schedules.
They can.
All of them have pretty cake schedules from here on out. They have Dallas, and then it's Giants twice. Another bad. I think Washington.
San Fran's schedule's tough. They play Baltimore. Well,
that's the only tough game they got.
Don't they play Seattle again or no?
Seattle next week at home. Cardinals,
they could
Ravens,
lose.
Commanders, Rams.
Sorry.
God bless.
I think it's like pretty.
I mean, we have a cake schedule too, so it's like they got a tough game against the Ravens.
I think the Eagles. I think the Eagles are going to stay. If there's any change,
even this week coming. So, well, no, I won't get it. We'll save it for the preview. I don't want to get into it.
I think. Listen, I think what's going to hurt the Lions, that even if they're tied with these teams and say Madison, what's going to hurt them is strength of victory. And a tiebreaker that if they're tied with San Fran, we'll see what happens. I mean, I know it looks like San Fran should whoop Seattle, but listen, Seattle is going to be playing. They need a W.
They're playing for their life. They're playing for their life.
Rams slid into the 7th spot.
The Rams might need to win that game against San Fran for the playoffs. I mean, who knows? Listen, Lions win out. They're probably going to be the 2 or 1 seed. They lose one, maybe out a shot at 2, most likely going to be the 3.
Yeah,
you
can't lose.
Let's not count chickens before they hatch. We're in a good position. We've never been here before. Let's be excited. We're 9-3.
First 9-3 teams since 1962. How old were you in 1962?
I wasn't an itch in my father's ball sack. My father wasn't alive in 1962.
I don't think my dad was producing sperm yet. So
yeah.
Hey,
all right, guys.
Let's plan for a show Friday or Saturday previewing the Bears matchup. Thank you for everyone that tuned in. Enjoy this W. Winning is great. Sundays are better when you win. Let's go Lions, and we'll see you later.
And a big congratulations to the University of Michigan, because nobody has it better than us, and also to your Texas Longhorns.
I thought you were going to say congratulations on my wedding anniversary, but I guess I'll just go fuck.
I said that on Instagram. Yeah, I said that I gave you the congrats with 3 hearts.
You
got
did?
3 hearts. Yeah,
did you really?
Maybe Julie got the 3 hearts.
You're sending hearts to my wife? I'm going to have to go have a conversation.
My wife saw you in your underwear. You hung out in your underwear.
That's right. I was like, I did. I was in my underwear.
I woke up. He's just having coffee in Tampa at the island in the kitchen in his underwear, cooking in his underwear.
I was living my Florida life.
Did you just call Zoe your wife?
Oh yeah, I guess I did call her my wife. Look at that. Shout out to my wife Zoe.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll see you later this week.
All right. Take care.